3, 2, 1. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep doing that. I like doing it. It jazzes me up for a video, but I'm not sure how the people viewing this video, how they feel about it. So let me know. But we're not going to talk about countdowns today as much as I enjoy that as a favorite topic of mine. What I do want to talk about today is the exciting world of analytics and data, and particularly Google Analytics. Now, most business owners and even to a degree marketers, when they hear the words Google Analytics, their eyes glaze over, they roll their eyes, they think, nerd, and you're not out of your limits limits for thinking that. However, Google Analytics can be your friend. So for today, I just want to give you like the bare bones, absolute bare bones of Google Analytics and how to look at it. And I've got a few examples that I've just sort of knocked up. And I'm just going to talk through just one very specific view and filter view for two sites that you can look through. And then a bit more of an advanced view with a free tool that's available for anyone. So getting really familiar with this data, particularly if you're a marketer or business owner, is incredibly helpful. I'm of the firm belief that more people are online than ever, and being able to divine what's going on with your website and draw compelling conclusions can help inform what you do. It's not the only source of truth, of course, but it's a really powerful one. And if your website is a cost instead of an investment that makes money for you, you need to think about it and this information that I'm about to share with you. So here's one I prepared earlier. And this is my own website, actually. You can see here, it's lukemarshall.net. I've launched it relatively recently, so I'm not expecting astronomical traffic here. And I guess the first thing that you notice when you're in a Google Analytics interface is that it can be really overwhelming. Like you've got these tables of data here, you've got this menu or array of options available there, and honestly, it can be overwhelming. You're not sure where to click or even what to focus on, and that's quite normal. I don't think it's the most intuitive tool for sort of, I guess, beginner or intermediate even marketers to find out what they need. However, I'm going to just show you what to click on very specifically just to get what you need. So to get to this point, I actually clicked, my analytics account for this one, the property and the view. There's ways to customize that are outside the scope of this video, and we don't really care. We just want to show you that. Make sure you've got all website data, and you're off to the races. Now, the next thing you've got here, and I'll just close this drop down, is you've got all these options here, and sometimes it defaults, I think it defaults, depending on how you've set it up, to real time, which honestly is not useful unless you're web testing, load testing. As a marketer, there's not much you can do in real time unless you've got berserk amounts of traffic. So try and avoid that one unless you're trying to test if a conversion tag's firing or a particular campaign. They're boring, right? You don't need to know that right now. But what you do need to know right now and need to live is navigate to your behavior section. Navigate to site content. I find this the easiest area to understand. Navigate to all pages. And see how I've got all this woolly crap here? It's just a bit illegible. Just click page title. Now, what this information shows you is the name of each page and how much traffic they're getting. So if I look at this, I've recently run a webinar campaign. The webinar was yesterday. It was fun. Recording coming later for those who subscribe to my newsletter. And then there's my homepage, how I position myself. And I guess the main metric that I'm focused on at the moment was sort of this one, and confirmation page. So if I look at this, and we'll look at it unique, because unique page views generally is mapped to the user and how often they've seen a particular page. Users is better, but there's woolly definitions around various metrics. If we just accept unique page views for argument's sake, and the number I want to focus on, which might be hard, you might have to squint at your screen, is here. So what this tells me is that of the 373 unique page views I've had in the last week, 12 of them have converted. By convert, I mean taken a behavior that the website wants and almost what I want. And so the thanks for your confirmation is someone registering for the webinar, it's registering for my newsletter, or booking a free planning session. And so this number and its ratio is really powerful. It's at about 3.2% as a conversion rate. This is a bit on the lower side than what I would like. One thing I need to be cognizant of is that my website is relatively new, and there's lots of growing and work to do around that as I build out content and develop it further. But that's just a really simple way to check how all your pages are performing, and then basically focusing on the key page and as a ratio for the overall number. As a business owner who's managing a website, or a marketer who's managing a website, you should absolutely know this information and live and breathe it. You want it to be trending in a good direction. You've got other numbers here like bounce rate, exits, page value. You don't need to worry about any of that. Just focus on these ones. Excuse me. I'll edit that bit out. So I want to give you a couple of other examples just to really bring it home. So here's another one prepared earlier. This is actually my wife's kinesiology site. She has a kinesiology practice. She's been around for over a year. There's challenges around pandemic, and we sort of, when it makes sense, we advertise, and when we want to dial it back down, we turn it down, and I help her with that. But some really good applying the same principles here. I think I've got it on page title already. So I've got main site data with some additional tracking, behavior, site content, all pages. And so if I look here, we've got the unique page views, and this is a month's worth of traffic. And some things I want to call out here. So the homepage seems to be the most popular site with half the traffic going there. This is a really good number. This is for every 10 people that visit her website, at least one is going on to book, which is great. And if you were thinking about this as a digital marketer, you're like, okay, so if 1 in 10 are going to book, and you can use math to figure out how to engineer strategies to get more traffic there, because 1 in 10 is going to click book. This was interesting. What can I expect? So again, about 1 in 10 people who visit a kinesiology page don't know what it's about and what to expect. And so having that page, and when we noticed that, we built out the detail on that page to really help with that. And then in this instance, contact isn't the main bag, it's book. But as you can see, there's some good numbers around that, and it looks pretty healthy. Now, I guess flags, if you're wondering in terms of ratios, say you have 100 people coming to your page or website rather, and 99 of them, or less than 99% of them are going away and not taking an action. That's a problem. There's various ways to look at that problem. It might be the traffic you're sending to the page. It might be the page itself and the content doesn't speak to the person visiting at all. And it might be poorly designed. There's all sorts of things you can evaluate with, and I'm actually helping new clients around frameworks and what to look for and patterns and taking them on a 90-day program that sort of helps with this sort of stuff. But that's another story. But essentially, be aware of these numbers, the patterns, and live and breathe them, because more people are online than ever, and you want to capitalize on that as a business. And if you're not, you're missing an opportunity. And perhaps even former channels like referrals aren't as conducive to new business as they used to be. So you really need to get your website firing. One more advanced example. So if you are done with data, I know it's not for everyone. It's probably a good time to tap out of this video now. For those of you who are staying, I have a treat for you. So this is a year-old Google store. This tool is called Google Trends. It's a free tool. It shows you search volume in terms of ratios, not the actual numbers, over time. And Google's an extremely interesting business. Started around here, or just before here, a bit earlier, but this is when this tool became available. This is the Google store as a search term. This is the time range I've selected, and worldwide. And you got to be careful about singular sources of data and drawing conclusions, but this is quite interesting. Google store became extremely popular around here. So I'm imagining that's around the time their phone business started taking off. And then it's actually ebbed away over time, and a little spike here, which I imagine might be related to the rise of their more hardware-centric products and the rise in popularity there, but not at the phone levels. One very little known fact, particularly for emerging digital marketers who are looking to practice on data sets, or even business owners who think they don't have enough data to work with, is Google shares their Google Analytics data for the Google store. You can Google that, oddly enough, and what this gives you a much richer data set than some of the paltry numbers you saw with my site and my wife's site. So again, similar navigation, you can enable it, and the demo account is what it's called. They've got all sorts of interesting things in there. Most of the data is in there, and we're just going to click on Master View. And instead of going, first we'll just show you the page I showed you earlier. So again, home, behavior, site content, or pages. I've got this date range actually quite broad for this example. It's about 5 years worth. And if we switch to page title here, we've got the most popular pages in a 5-year time span. And the home page obviously would be the most popular. Online store, shopping cart, merchandise store. Yeah, pretty basic stuff there. Looks like bags over time has been a heavy driver of traffic, and men's apparel and Nest USA, which is, I think is that, I should know this, but similar to the home, or like, we don't have those voice assistant things, but it's one of those, right? Yeah. Anyway, showing my age. But the other bit for the more advanced stuff that I think is relevant, and e-commerce people already know this, but if I click here, it gives you really rich data into how Google's e-commerce or how their online purchases are working. This data is probably overwhelming if you're not familiar with the world of e-commerce. If you are familiar with the world of e-commerce, I'm just teaching you to suck eggs. What I just wanted to call out here from a more advanced angle is, if we go average order value, I just find this really interesting, and it's publicly available data. And we just switch this to month. So look, I can only guess why this has happened. So average order value it seems fairly consistent over time. I imagine, I forget when Black Friday is around there maybe. And then Christmas interesting. So yeah, the average order value fluctuates between $140 and $240 around this period of time. Then it drops off a cliff in 2018, and then has remained very consistent since. This is a pretty big and compelling data set, and I guess I'll leave you with the more comfortable you get with asking questions and just asking why things are happening, and trying to craft stories around them. It's a really powerful skill to have. And so getting familiar with data sets and patterns and what to look for can be really helpful. And then what I'm sort of teaching is, hey, it's just a singular source of data. You're also looking at the journey to get there, the assets that are telling you this data, and even the techniques from which you're measuring. And I call this the JAM framework. You'll keep hearing about it from me if you're familiar with my content. And that's all I wanted to share with you today. The webinar I did yesterday was sort of tactics and dirty tactics around how to turn your website into a sales machine. Subscribe to my newsletter if you'd like to be forwarded a link to that. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed the video. Any feedback's welcome. I'm going to keep sharing more content. So I'm actually stepping away from more day-to-day retainer work and looking to take new clients on and more, I guess, done with you model. So I'm looking to work with clients who want to work collaboratively, want to upskill themselves or their marketing team in digital marketing, and work in sort of 3-month or 3-month sprints to help facilitate that in sort of a community-based and coaching approach. If that sounds interesting to you or your team, let me know. More detail about that to come. Otherwise, hope you enjoyed the video. Google Analytics is fun. I enjoy looking at it. It's not for everyone, but being able to interpret that data can be a really powerful skill set. So I hope you got something out of that. Thanks for listening. Cheers.